Hey folks, it's Mike Reynolds with Maine. I'm a writer and former webmaster. We have a much smarter woman who does that webmastering work now, so I can focus on writing. You can basically doing this stuff. Although I do plan on doing some writing in the future soon. I've been doing this story time for the last 4 years during COVID, and it's been really helpful. Interesting, unique, and um, definitely lets me give a story telling aspects to this that I never would have been able to do without um, um, COVID and without having access to doing something online like a virtual thing. And hopefully this makes sense rather than trying to read something, because honestly it's been kind of weird the past year trying to write and focus on anything um, with everything that's going on. Just to give somebody some sort of heads up, I live about a mile and a half between both of the um, scenes of the shootings in Lewiston that happened on October 23rd of last year. I was actually out buying laundry detergent when that happened. I saw all sorts of cops go by. Um, I know people who died. I have friends who lost neighbors. It's not a good thing. And, I never would have thought, nor could I ever have imagined, nor would I wanted to, that my local town would be, the 10th worst mass shooting ever happened in the U.S. But it is, and we're next Friday they're going to be starting to do the 1 year anniversary at the Colosseum. It's going to be broadcast live as well. That'll be the 25th. It'll be at the Colosseum. I'm sure it's available online. I will post a link to it. That's going on next Friday. Along those lines, with the people who have been impacted, there was a major announcement yesterday that over 100 people are pledged to the United States Army and government for catastrophic failures that happened as a result of the that led to the mass shooting. The plaintiffs involved, and there's some national level lawyers who were meeting this today, and they had a press conference at a place locally that I just couldn't get to today because my itinerary is more than full. I'm leaving tomorrow to go out of state, so I'm kind of busy with that. But apparently, they're having a major. They basically have a press conference yesterday. Say they're going to start the process to do a lawsuit. There was a similar lawsuit that the U.S. Army lost that is similar to what happened in Lewis, and that happens like at police Fort Hood. Over $20 million was the U.S. Army was found liable for over $230 million as a result of that prior lawsuit, and it sounds like this is what's going to happen with this current lawsuit. And what's planning on happening, they have two major national lawyers groups helping them. one of the things that they're talking about is about that Card was um, training West Point grads who were, and he was found to have had repetitive exposure to explosives for years, like 10 years plus. The New York Times, before he actually went on his shooting spree, New York Times did things saying that there were people who have ballistics training who go through this and it causes brain damage. And Card actually did this for over 10 years. Never got a real training. There's not much stuff the military does itself in terms of what it has for its own protocol. And there really isn't a lot of protocol for what happens to those people there. Card was obviously found to be sick enough to be in a hospital. They did not keep him in there, but they did nothing to keep him away from guns. Something like 1/4 of all mass shootings are done by people who either were in the military or are currently in the military, which is just kind of scary when you think about it, because that means the military is not doing their job. If veterans are dying like this and not being seen or not being, dealt with, it's obviously an issue, and it's sad, and it doesn't need to happen, and I guess it's really a new era of America when you say, hey, we've been through a mass shooting, well, welcome to America now. I've had that happen to me. Not a good thing to recommend at all. And there's not, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I wouldn't want to deal with it with my family and friends. It's so hard to go through. Luckily, I will be taking a little bit of a vacation myself, but I will be back for the memorial for the annual anniversary. Yesterday was also the Indigenous Peoples Day, and Maine has not the best record dealing with Indigenous people. In fact, we have a really horrible record when it comes to that. In Maine, Malaga Island was an island that was inhabited by the Malaga people, and Mainers who lived here thought that was the good thing, so they deemed the Malaga people as basically not able to live in society, and they placed them in Pineland farms, which became the first institution, which became an institution for people with disabilities, institution where people were lobotomized, and tons of horrible things happened until it was closed in 1995. It's still used, the area is still used as an economic development zone. Pineland Farms makes a bunch of, quote, gourmet, unquote, cheeses and foods, and there's a lot of stuff stuff there. But yeah, people in Pineland was basically the place where people who couldn't live in society were relegated to. In fact, people in the community used to go there because it was the only place for people with severe disabilities to get their teeth done. Because you think about it, it's really hard for a person with severe disabilities to find their teeth to get them done. Back when I was growing up, I used to go there literally because the only person that could work for me was Dr. Rice. And when Dr. Rice had his own private practice, I actually went to see him as an adult, paying for my own teeth insurance. It was necessary, and it's hard because if you're a person who is nonverbal or a person who has severe disabilities, it is really impossible to find a doctor. There's one in Bangor, I believe. But again, this goes back to everything, especially more so now with COVID. But dental work has always been hard for people with disabilities. And one of the reasons why I know so much about Pineland is I used to go there for my teeth, which kind of makes no sense because, living in a rural area, you do what you have to survive. And today we still do. There's other places talking about how difficult the school staffing shortages are, and they're getting worse now because now we have places where we're at a time where kids going to school now who are starting school have never been pretty much have always lived in a world where COVID was the main priority. And for a year and a half that living, which be like if you're 6 years old, that took 25% of your time. You couldn't get a test because it took 18 months to get a vaccine. And you get above a certain age to get the vaccine, I believe it's 2 or 3. So these kids that are coming to school now are going to be way behind. Even if they were not behind, they would be behind. Plus, the COVID, having COVID, the ability to get screened, identified, tested, all those things has gone down to the point where it's almost impossible to find medical stuff. I'm sure it's the same for in any school testing, school things like that too. Now schools, and especially the younger grades, really have a hard time finding support for people who need, or kids who need special education supports. And you think about it, these kids have not had, they were born in 2018 or 2019, COVID started in 2020, finding, early intervention supports, early intervention training, early intervention diagnostics and therapies be really difficult. Trying to do therapies on Zoom with a kid would be really difficult compared to in person. And I mean, just seeing now that this is going to be new normal. We're going to be living into a place where people are not going to have a medical access that they need. That's already happening. It's been happening for years. On a personal note, I can't even find a reasonable local ostomy nurse, let alone trying to find a reasonable, care that requires, lots of work. It takes a lot of time to find a good doctor. It takes a lot of time to find a good appointment. My friend was talking to me about trying his spouse is going to be looking for work, looking for medical care, and they had to wait 4 months for an appointment. That's a state, but they were terrified that if either one of them got sick, they would have to wait another 4 months or longer if they had to deal with sickness. So they had to be especially afraid of COVID before that, and there's nothing that they can do. They had to just do this. Now, with people traveling for the holidays, if you're traveling anytime soon, wear a mask because, again, COVID is not doing well, and again, there are new tests coming out. They are much better than the tests that were out. The new tests are better at finding positives with the new strains, XEC3, which works better. In order to get that, you can go to covidtest.gov. The U.S. Postal Service will mail them to you, and it should take 2 or 3 days to get them. Again, that's covidtest.gov. Again, if you're going out and you need to be in a indoor area, the best thing you can do is mask. Honestly, the new strains of COVID are so dangerous that my friend who had not left the house except to go to the movie theater to see Deadpool and Wolverine got COVID while he was in the movie theater. And there could be parts of that because of the movie theater air. It's not really researched very well. But that's a problem, and it needs to be addressed, and it's not working great, but it's working better. And I know there's also new options to get a lot more movies on, they're streaming right from your TV screen. I know that a lot of Disney movies like Inside Out 2 are being streamed right from the day of release. And it's kind of leads to my next piece. A documentary called Superman. It's a documentary about Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve died about 20 years ago, almost to the week, of allergic reaction in October 2004. I remember a vice presidential candidate saying if Al Gore was elected, he would have been alive, which doesn't make any sense. But and it's just looking at that, it's been so long since that stuff's happened that you just can't believe it. People would say that, but John Edwards, being who he was, did say that. It was was weird because I actually met John Edwards right before that, before Reeve died. It was well strange, to say the least. But the Christopher Reeve documentary is out. It's incredible. I don't know if it's playing anywhere in Maine. I wish it was. I would love to see it. But I have a kind of a couple of things with Christopher Reeve. I met him a couple times. I met his wife in '96 at the Paralympics. I would play ball with his son. I have front row seats. They had this big giant ball. Just basically played pass with his son, who was like 3 at the time. He's now 32. Living in London and working for ABC News. Will was doing well. Will Reeve is worked with the people to direct this, and it's a great documentary. If you can see it. It hasn't been. I think it just came out. A couple of things that were really interesting from the New York Times was that they said that Reeve talks a lot about Reeve's relationship with Robin Williams. They were roommates in Juilliard in college. They were friends throughout the rest of their lives, and Williams committed suicide, and Glenn Close, not Meryl Streep, but Glenn Close in the New York Times review of this, that if Reeve was alive, he probably could have saved his friend, and we'll never know, but Mr. Reeve was a wonderful person, and I got to talk to him briefly. I got to see him a couple times, and he's a very nice guy on the phone, and he always had a good smile. I saw him in person, and actually one of those is book by Mary Johnson, Make Them Go Away. So that's kind of cool. Early voting, if you need a absentee ballot, you can order one now in the state of Maine, and you shouldn't have any problems doing that. If you do, call the Secretary of State's office. Maine, you can vote, and as long as your vote has a marked day of the election, postmarked day of the election, it will be counted. So that's important because in 2016, the recreational marijuana law passed by less than 3,000 votes. That's less than 0.1% of all the votes that were there that were counted. So literally it was within the market era for the voting machines, but it just didn't. It was close, but it didn't pass. But if anything I learned after that was that never, ever, ever think that your vote doesn't count, because believe me, after that, recount, I will never ever think that a vote that could have been that should have never been that close was actually very close. And so again, voting really does matter, and I can't say enough how important it's going to be, given everything that's available and going on with um, the election. And if you need any more ammunition as to why to not vote for Donald Trump, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna vote for him. I'm not gonna even try and be realistic. I think Donald Trump would be dangerous for people with disabilities. I think he was dangerous to people with disabilities the last time he was president. And so I don't think it should be happening. I believe people should know that he's vice president. Does not agree that he won the election and will not say so 3 times on the New York Times. So J.D. Vance, who has Yale law degree, doesn't believe that Donald Trump lost the election in 2020. That's kind of sad considering that, most people believe that. But, I guess if you're J.D. Vance and can't, have the transphobe and, change your entire political beliefs to become more inclined to be voting and everything, then I guess it's J.D. Vance, but I'm not gonna vote for you. Trump still refused to give anything about his medical health, and apparently after his speech in Pennsylvania last night, people were saying that's kind of unhinged. So I'm going to continue because I'm almost done. There's some October's National Disability Employment and Awareness Month, and Maine Fisheries Maine Sea Grants Lobster Research Extension Coordinator, the lobster research. I'm holding it on. This is from Disability Rights Maine. Coordinate ongoing collaborative to increase the American lobster industry's resilience on biological, economic, and social impacts on the ecosystem chain in the Gulf of Maine during the bank in southern New England. At GIMA on the news site, there's a link to apply for the lobster research and job description at the lobster research and extension coordinator. And then there's also a position for fisheries extension associate. Will coordinate a community engagement program for an innovative fishing gear library project led by the Maine Department of Marine Resources, DRMR, focusing on the American lobster industry, and you can apply for that there as well. I can post a link to that right now on Facebook, which is what I'm doing right now. And it's 4:20, so it said past 4:20, it's actually 4:40. So let's. So Vegas, Maine's a great place to be sometimes, and yeah, that helps. So, and I'm posting that information about the opportunities for state grant and the Maine Fisheries things. Additionally, Plant Tree Society is having their two specific weekends where you can go and use the facilities at Pine Tree Camp with the wilderness exploration program. Go to pinetreesociety.org. There is a fee. It can be completely. There are generous scholarship opportunities. By all means, I highly suggest if you have a chance to go check out the Pine Tree Camp recreational programs that are going on, pinetreesociety.org, and they do have scholarship opportunities to help you with the weekend costs, so they should be free. Again, Pine Tree Society, Pine Tree Camp, not so much Pine Tree Camp, but there was a camp at Pine Tree that the person who started, Josh Sees, passed away during the shooting, and there was a great piece by Kevin Russell about it in the New York Times, and this shirt's actually part of that as well. It's when the Sea Dogs Allowed had a day where they were all wearing ASL jerseys, which were signed and raffled off at Pine Tree Camp, and they also sold the t-shirts. So, if you get a chance to go and help with Pine Tree Camp, definitely do so. And I'll be back next week with more information, probably more information about this really important month. See if I can get more information for you, but a lot of other stuff. And definitely enjoy yourself. Have a safe weekend, folks, and wear your mask. And have a great week, and I'll see you next week. And thanks for being a part of this week Storytime with Billy Maine. Have a great day.